If you couldn't make it, if you're watching on a replay, sorry, Zoom was not cooperating this morning. It wouldn't even let me connect to Facebook, so we're gonna have to do it from here. Jacob, you got the record going?
Yep.
Cool. All right. So welcome to day 16. Day 16. Days are kind of running together. We are going to be continuing the topic from yesterday where we were talking about hiring your first VA. Today we're going to be talking about building a team. I think that this is something that if you want to grow your business, and everybody has a different way of doing things, but if you want to grow your business, eventually you're going to reach a point where you can only scale so much just by yourself. And I don't know about you, but personally, I like to be able to spend a little bit of time with my spouse, with my family, with my friends. And what you find is if you don't have a team in place, that time rapidly evaporates. This is something that I think RJ has embraced to the fullest. I think that RJ has outsourced everything in his life at this point.
Yeah, yeah, I actually have. It actually feels good. I was texting my buddy Anaz yesterday. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna turn on well, this is like a different topic, of course, but I'm gonna turn on the automation and take a nap. Or like I usually do it. Like I usually make sure I turn like when I do all my uploads and stuff like that, or like my designing and stuff is all done, and all like my illustrators or my designers getting stuff done. My KDP girls getting stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
My KDP girls are getting stuff done, and then when I wake up in the morning, all the work's done, and plug up everything all in.
I mean, and the thing I think that's counterintuitive is, and this is where we were talking about yesterday, investing back into your business. Literally, like once you start to get this stuff down, the more people you bring on, the more your income goes up, right? Because you're leveraging their time. You're using your money to leverage their time. People need to realize like time is the one thing that you cannot buy more of. Like your time is fixed. It's finite. You can't have any more of it. So I think that it's very important, especially if you want to be successful in this business long term, at a decent scale. Like you need to start thinking right now about building out your systems and start building out your practices to incorporate other people into your business. Figuring out how you can organize things now if you're just starting out as a beginner. And this is why I'm tying it back into the beginners, because I know some of you guys are not anywhere close to hiring even your first VA. But start thinking about like how you're going to organize your files, how you're going to organize your uploads, how you're going to organize your processes and document your processes so that when you do bring on that first team member, you're already set to go. Because if you don't do it now, when you're trying to do it in the middle of having people on and figure all that stuff out, it becomes kind of a disaster.
No, for sure. Like systems in place is one of the most important things, and having an understanding of that. Like with KDP, like when I started KDP and I started like trying to outsource and hire people for KDP, I was like, okay, what is going to be like how am I going to speed up the workflow, and how is it going to be like the quality of the workflow going to be like to the T. So that's what I was focusing on, and it's like I understand it completely now compared to the very first time I started outsourcing. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, RJ just discovered spreadsheets. Like I remember when I'm kidding, but like it kind of clicked in his head like how important spreadsheets are. But that was I remember when we first started doing KDP stuff, and we have a pretty tight little mastermind that we work with, and we had a small group of us that were all doing KDP, and we were all kind of like just trying to figure out how to incorporate KDP into our business because we have a lot of stuff going on. And we literally had like a 3-day discussion between like 5 of us about like what the optimal way is to organize our files and determine how we wanted to organize things, because we wanted to make sure that it made sense to us, but also made sense to our teams. Like we got into some pretty decent arguments too, like trying to explain to RJ, like, this is why you should do certain things. Or Anas gets pretty heated about the organizing stuff.
The first time I hired a designer, it was like, once I finally got back like the first set of art, the first time I hired a good designer. It was such a relief. Like it felt like so much pressure off you because now I could step back and focus on the things I liked doing, and the things I wanted to do.
Yeah, for sure. I see Tara make a comment in chat too that I 100% agree with. Don't overlook outsourcing tasks around the house too. So for example, like I've embraced this fully. Like we live the Instacart life. Like I have a mobile car wash that comes to my house that cleans our cars. Like any kind of cleaning or anything else like that. Like if you can do that and incorporate that in your life and get that time back, it is so valuable. It is super, super huge. Giving up that 5%, right, to pay for your time, it's like, how much is your time worth? Like myself personally, like my time is worth way more than, $100 an hour. It just is. Like, that's what I get paid. So if I'm taking that time out of my day to go to the grocery store or go clean the house or go clean my cars, that's money coming out of my pocket.
Yeah. No, DoorDash. I use DoorDash a lot. Does that count?
Yeah. No, I mean,
So,
we do too. There's times where I don't have time to cook.
yeah, like I'll be just on the computer doing work and finishing a few things up, but I'll DoorDash stuff, and then it'll be here by the time I get off the computer. I eat, boom, take a shower, and then go out to do whatever I have to do through the day. So
Go out to the bar.
nah.
All right. So
Yeah, nighttime.
that's philosophical stuff. Like, let's get into the nitty gritty. We need to start talking about teams and organization. I think that the best way to do this is kind of go through it in terms of like real life examples, and talk about where we started with things, and just so it helps people understand like the different aspects of it. So RJ, let's start with you, because I know you kind of started building out the team literally almost from day one, right?
Yeah, with KDP or no, with everything actually.
Everything.
I remember I have a screenshot where I started my Merch by Amazon business, and my first month payout was like I think it was like $161, and I was trying to figure out what I'm gonna do to actually grow this because I couldn't design. My computer was shitty. I would turn on Photoshop and my whole computer would freeze, and I was like, God damn it, I can't even do nothing. I was like, and I can't really afford a computer right now. And I didn't want to buy a new computer at the time. And I was like, you know what? Like, I have to make this work so I can actually start doing this type of stuff. And so I went right away, and I had a guy that was doing designs for me, and I kind of made him an offer. I was like, you know what? If you can help me right now, I want to make, I think we made 500 designs right off the back, or was it 200 designs? I'm not sure. And I end up the second month, I ended up doing like $300 or $400, and I owed him 500. So I actually pulled it out of my pocket and gave him that. So I was investing into my business. So for the Merch by Amazon business, I was investing that money to pay him, and I wasn't trying to take money out of my own pocket, because that was, you know what I mean? That's the capital for that business to to keep on growing. And then that third month, I ended up doing 2,000, and I was like, yes. And then it just started going up. And then the fourth month, it went to, I want to say like 4,000. And then the 6th month, it went to like 6. And then Q4, I think it was like November, December, it went to close to, I want to say 8,000. And then after that, in January, it kind of just went back down to 5. But then I leveraged that to continue building and building and building. And now I'm here.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
let's start talking nitty gritty though. So like with your first designer, right?
Okay.
So you hired a designer because obviously you can't do that job. You were doing all the uploads, everything else. What was the next piece that you brought on? It was another designer, right?
Yeah.
Trying to scale things out.
Yeah, it was another designer. I was trying to scale things out. He worked with me she worked with me for a little bit, and then she was just like giving an attitude a little bit, and I ended up firing her because she was just attitude. So then that didn't work out. And you guys got to keep in mind too, is like what I'm telling you guys is exactly what happened. And that stuff happens, you know what I mean? Like you're building relationships with people, and sometimes they don't work out. Like the first 2 or 3 months, they might work out, but that 4th or 5th month, they might start giving you attitude, and that's normal. And then I ended up had to fire her because you're just like, you're like, I'm waking up and you're giving me attitude.
Yeah.
Asking me to do the task and you're not doing it correctly. So
systems wise, in terms of what you were doing with your designers, so you were doing this through Skype, right? Like you have a group chat on Skype, basically.
Yeah.
And then they're connected to your Google Drive, right?
Yeah. Then so they're connected. Yeah. Okay. So how they would do it, I give each one of them a folder, right? And we'll separate it by the months. And so for example, like her name and the Google Drive, and then in her folder would be the month that she's working on, and then it continue through the next month. So it'll be like, for example, it'll be August 2019, and they'll be working all the designs in there, and I'll be actually doing all the uploads at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing with my other guy. He would do all the design work in there, and then I'll do all the uploads too.
Right, and they're working off the design spreadsheet that we share with them.
Yeah, and also the research too. The research, I actually enjoyed a lot more than anything. So I was like, you know what? And then I tried. There's one time I tried to outsource the research, and that didn't work out so well. But anyways, I would do the research pretty much daily with them, and then I kind of give them like I'll research like 20 to 30 links a day, and then I'll hand it over to them, and they'll work on it. And the next day I'll have some good designs, and then I'll be up doing the uploading.
Yeah. So like essential tools, I see Katie talking in chat. Essential tools, Google Drive, 100% essential. Like you need something that you can share with it, share with them that everybody can see, and it's a live document. So you're not constantly having to email it out. Like you share it once and then you just work from it and you can go through it. They can highlight it when it's done. That way you can keep track of things. However you want to organize what you're going to do. Yeah. Google Drive is free. You'll find very quickly, however, you do need to move to a paid version of it because you're going to start to fill up your Google Drive very, very quickly. I don't want to say that Dropbox is a necessity. I just happen to find that Dropbox works best for me. I pay a lot of money for it, but it's because the functionality I have and the ability to separate our files and share certain files we want to share that not share other things. It works.
It's crazy, guys, too, as well. Like a simple like you separate something by just a folder, the workflow is like way better. And like, believe it or not, when you're working inside Google Drive, if you separate something by just like, okay, put all these in one folder, I'm gonna put all these in one folder, it looks so much cleaner and like
easier. I mean, the other thing that you need to think about too, and so this goes back to like foundational stuff, is start thinking of having naming conventions for the way that you guys name your files. Okay, make sure that you have a consistent way of naming things, a system that on the way that things get named, because you're going to develop a lot of assets. You're going to have a lot of stuff. And if you don't have a way of naming things, very quickly it gets lost. And especially a lot of times when you guys download stuff from like FreePic or other graphic sites, a lot of times it's not even named decently. Sometimes it's just even like numbers because it's FreePic's like automatic naming system. So make sure that like when you're downloading all of that stuff that you have a naming convention or have a system storing in those graphic assets along with whatever the project is. So you can always go back and change it if you need to.
Yeah, and then also too with the file name, it's very important that you actually put the file name, whatever the design name is. You can just put some like have your guys like my designer like, hey, put these keywords in here. Like you can actually put like the strongest keywords for that niche in there that you think are good, and just use them in there. But put the title of that design in there because, for example, most important thing is put the name of the design in there because, for example, like I have designs that sell from like a year ago, and I have no idea where I'll find them in the folder. So what I would do is use Google Drive, and I'll search for it. And I'm like, well, here it is right here. We need this design to be customized, and they want a name on the bottom of this design. And with my custom designs that I sell on Etsy, this is different, guys, but what I sell on Etsy, because I repurpose a lot of my stuff. Like a lot of the illustrations are like they're assets. So I do that, put a name on the bottom, and I charge like an extra $20 on Etsy for someone to do a custom order. So very important that you have your stuff really well organized.
Yeah. So Victoria in chat, Merch Wizard helps a lot with the organization. They have KDP Wizard too that works with Airtable and spreadsheets. So I just recently started diving into Airtable. I should have done a long time ago because Mary Fargo Masila has been preaching about Airtable forever. Like Airtable is going to be where my entire business is going. Like it's so versatile, like what you can do with it. It's amazing. Yeah, Airtable is definitely legit. Whatever system works for you guys. That's the biggest thing. I'm trying to show you guys some different examples of whatever works. Like, because all of our brains work differently. So the way that our file system is organized is we organize by niche. So whatever, like, cats, dogs, whatever, right? And then inside of those niche folders, then we have the actual file name is the design title or whatever that we're going to be calling it on whatever the site is. And then inside that folder where the design is, we have the designs, the PNGs. We also have the design files, so PSDs, AI, whatever we're using. And then we also have whatever elements went into that design. So fonts. We don't have the fonts in there because we have a group font folder, but whatever the graphics, like whatever the custom graphics that have gone into it, etc., they're all in that same spot. So if we ever need to alter it, or if we ever need to change something, if we need to customize it, if we want to update it and make new versions of it, it's all right there. So we can always go back to it and refer to it.
Mm-hmm.
I see someone here asking, all saved on hard drives, iCloud, a few. What's that system? I do Dropbox and then a external hard drive as well. I like having something physical, and to have a 8 terabyte hard drive in my computer would not be cheap. So I went external hard drive.
I have everything on Dropbox. It's why I paid them a lot of money. I don't have to worry about fires, don't have to worry about crashes, I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. It's all synced up there. So
I got this one. It does it backs up every like 6 hours, the whole computer.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. So anyways, we're kind of off in the weeds a little bit. When it comes to KDP, I mean, it's important. Like, I think that we need to have this discussion because we need people to think about it, like in relation to themselves. When it comes to KDP, like when you're thinking about building out a team, you need to start thinking about the processes that you do not enjoy doing. That's the first thing that I would outsource. Like, much like, I don't enjoy going to the car wash, or I don't enjoy cleaning my house. Like, think about the things that you don't enjoy doing. Maybe it is like creating covers for your books, right? Like, maybe you just don't really want to do that. You want to work and nerd out and make really cool custom interiors. You can find a designer that can do all of that stuff for you, do the grunt work of actually putting things together and putting together the books for you and all of that stuff. Start thinking and making lists of like, what are the things that I hate about this business? I see a lot of people saying uploading.
Yeah.
I'll make an argument that like the automation solution for uploading, once you reach that point, is a much better solution than having a VA do it for you. You pay once, like literally, it doesn't make mistakes. Like, it does whatever you tell it to do. Go from there.
Mm-hmm. I hate uploading too, guys. So I'm right there with you. So.
All of us hate uploading. Anybody that is not a robot hates uploading.
Before the automation came out, all of us were messaging like, "Are you working on something?"
Yeah, no, we all
something had to be done. Uploading used to be so brutal. I'd sit there and I'd sit down for 6 hours, and I just want to like pull out my eyes by end of the day.
Probably wasted like 6 months of my life uploading.
More than that.
Yeah, very longer than that.
The first year we did merch, I spent every single day
uploading.
Once I got home from my business, uploading. I would upload until midnight at least.
And keywords play a factor in this too, because after you get done tired of uploading, you're like, "Fuck these keywords! I'm out of here. I'm done." I'm being serious too.
Yeah, so that's one thing. Like, I see a lot of people talking about uploading in terms of like things that they want to outsource. Like, there's a solution to that, and you only have to pay once for it. I think that that's a better value than having to pay somebody to do that for you month after month after month. Especially because like they will work regardless of the time, regardless of the date. They'll work whenever you want them to work.
Can you outsource research?
I would say no.
There's like keyword like, what are you talking about? Like keywords and like keyword research, making the spreadsheets. Yeah, like the spreadsheets for not the research for the actual like
product,
but like for like keywords and stuff like that, making the spreadsheets. You can. I think that's what you're asking, I believe.
Yeah,
but not the need. Don't do the research for the products and stuff like that. Come back with like WWE, like trademark stuff.
I've tried so many times and it never works out. I've tried to train them, and I had a person on for probably 4 months, and it started to click, but it still wasn't even close to what I wanted.
Yeah. So for those of you guys that are asking, to see people talking in chat, BookBolt has an automation solution. It's a separate part of the software. It's an additional charge, but they do offer a lifetime thing on it right now. There is another automation out there that is by Merch Titans. I personally I'm not a fan of the owner of the business. So we've had problems in the past. I think he's shady as shit, but that's my own personal opinion. But they do have another bit of software out there that I know some people use. BookBolt's automation started off a little bit rough because it was just basically it was a first version of it. That's why Neil's offering a lifetime on it. But I know that RJ, you've been using it a lot recently, and you said it's gotten pretty legit.
Yeah, I've been using it. Dude, like it saves you so much time. Like I think we're talking about that tomorrow, but like this is part of like honestly like systems, and then well,
Mhm.
yeah, this is part of the systems part of today. Um, Having that in place, man, it saves you so much time. Like I go to the gym, and you guys see all the uploads that I do, right? And you're like, how's he doing that? How's he doing that? Because I have this like you know what I mean, have the team in place, you
Yeah,
know. And
we'll talk about it tomorrow.
yeah,
I want to get back to the topic, like kind of gone off track. So
yeah.
when it comes to team building for KDP, like think about the things you don't enjoy doing. And I know none of us enjoy uploading. I would argue that automation is a better solution than hiring somebody in that spot. So even if you are a talented designer and you enjoy designing, I would say that start thinking about how you can incorporate other designers in there to either scale out your work or just increase the amount of output you have, because the more things you can put up, especially when we have automation and automation is doing the uploading for us, the more money is going to go in your pocket, especially when like you can start working on interiors and solve that problem with interiors, and they can take care of all the other grunt work related to building out the books and doing the covers and all of that stuff. It's just a matter of being organized, having a spreadsheet, so they know exactly what they need to be working on. And this plays back into the very beginning when we started talking about doing content calendars and all of that stuff. Like that's going to enable you to stay organized on your end and know exactly what you need to be working on and prepare that stuff for your VAs. Because if you don't have that work prepared, if you don't have a system in place that tells them exactly what they're supposed to be doing, then you're wasting money. First of all, it becomes very stressful. Like I've gone through this. Like life sometimes gets in the way and you fall behind and you don't have the stuff there, and then so your VA is contacting you, hey, what do I need to work on today? Like that sucks. Like have a system in place where you plan all this stuff out prior, spend a day a month basically getting all that stuff ready, and it will
Mhm.
save you so much time and you'll get so much more stuff back.
Yeah, you can like literally like for example, like you see you like well, yesterday the last 2 days we're working on covers or interiors. I'm sorry,
Mm-hmm.
and then like today they can have them working on covers. You know what I mean? Like separate the days by days and you'll get more stuff done like that. Just focus one day on this, next day on this, next day on that, and don't do. I'm gonna do interiors and covers today.
Yep. Jacqueline, I shared an example spreadsheet
Yourself.
of,
Oh,
I'm sorry, you cut out.
yeah.
I shared an example spreadsheet in the KDP coloring book of what we did to organize stuff for that stuff. Um, I'll see if RJ can share one of his. I don't have one that I can share right now. But the most important thing is like think about it in terms of workflow and what you want them working on. And then you need to have a system where they can update when it's done. We keep it as a group spreadsheet, so because we have multiple people working off of it, and then they just highlight it by color depending on who finished it and when it's done. So they know like there's a color for when they're working on it, there's a color for when they finish it. So they're not working on the same stuff.
Yeah, okay. So that well, what I've been doing with KDP too right now. So with the interiors, I just have them working by interiors. So I have like the folder for interiors, and then I have all my interiors in there, and I
Mhm.
just like whatever you haven't done in there, just work on it today. You know what I mean? Because that seems a little bit more easier for them just working in the folder like that too. But with any custom stuff, I have them work on, and then we're in a group chat too together as well.
Yeah. So one of the tools that I use a lot, if you guys are in the top secret research group, you guys are used to this thing right here. I'll just show the top secret research group since I don't want to share off my personal Slack because we have files in there. Bum, bum, bum. So this is for me the most valuable tool in my business. So this is Slack. This is a collaboration and productivity tool. It's the secret behind Slack and why it was called Slack is it actually is a tool that gives you the ability to search for literally just about anything. So whenever anything is typed in there, you can use it. So in this case, if you notice, there's all these different channels here, right? So we incorporate the same stuff into my work Slack here, where we divide the different topics. So we have a topic that's general, where it's just conversation with us, like between the different VAs we have working. And then I have a different channels for everything that we have going on. So designers, illustrations, KDP, coloring books, all of that stuff has its own channel. So everything stays siloed and it stays organized. So when you guys are talking about things, you know where it's supposed to go. And it becomes very easy for your VAs to understand what's going on depending on whatever the topic is.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's actually a really cool feature with Slack because you can actually separate everything. with like Skype, what I've been doing, just naming the chat differently and just kind of consistently keeping the chat to the top or whatever. What do you use for screen sharing?
I use this right here. I use Zoom, like we
Yep.
use Zoom, but I mean, it's they do have a free option, but you can do it with Skype. You can do it with whatever tool you go and do. You can do it in Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, I use Skype, and then I just OBS. I'll just make some training videos. That way they can go back. And that's what I've been doing recently is making training videos on how to do research, and that way and give them their own folder in Google Drive, and they can just go back and check it out. Like if I'm like, okay, research this for the day and see if you can find something new, and then go from there.
Yeah, so Nas, good tip in the chat. Trello is also great to incorporate with your team. If you don't know what Trello is basically it's a productivity system. It's like little index cards, and you can assign tasks with it, and then when they're done, they disappear. But it's a visual way for you to keep track of everything that you need to get done. So back to building a team, and like going to keep circling back to this, like. Because it's all related. Like it's developing a system for communicating what needs to get done. And I saw Amos touch on this in chat. Like I feel like the thing most of us are going to struggle with hiring a VA is like having kind of like that CEO mindset, like understanding how to run things and how to organize it and do all of that stuff. And I agree. Like that's the thing that you have to really understand and treat this like a business. You are the person that's in charge. Nothing gets done in your business unless you develop a system that allows it to get done. And what I mean by that is, like, if you don't have that system in place, you're going to be the bottleneck in your business. Nothing is going to get done. You're not going to scale. You're going to find out that as you get more busy, the second you have a problem, everything grinds to a halt because everything depends on you. Yeah. But you have to have a system in place that automates these processes and has these things examined. I'll try and outline some stuff that in terms of what I think will work for you guys. Like our situation is very different than most just because my wife is a designer. She does a lot of that stuff. And we just have kind of a different flow than the way that most people do, because most people aren't designers doing this. But I'll try and come up with an outline for how things work for us and how it could work for you guys. And just have kind of a written template that will give you guys an idea, I think, a little bit better in terms of how the workflow goes, how the research goes, and where it goes from there.
Also too, but like you said too, at the very beginning, like this is like, depends like what, like how the workflow is like working for you, because you're different. I'm different. Everybody's different. Everybody in chat right now is different from one another. Like you might like outsource something completely different from all of us.
Yeah. I mean, it's just not a one size fits all problem. Yeah. I just want as many of you guys to start thinking about like, how does this work for me, and how does it work within my daily, and how does it work within my system? One of the things I realized once we reached a certain size, once we hit about 3 employees, is it helps to have somebody who is kind of in charge, somebody who is kind of like a team lead portion of it. I know Anas does this as well. So depending on what portion of their business they're working on, they have people that are essentially like team leads. We have, like I said, the one VA who is awesome, who does a lot of stuff for us. She's the one that has taken over that task for us. Like she basically runs things for us, like keeps things on tracks, makes sure that like if there's a problem, it gets communicated or it gets solved. Typically, start thinking about like as you build out your business, you need to have somebody that's going to be in charge to kind of delineate work to make sure that they're not always coming back to you to ask questions.
No, then also too as well, like like everything, if you don't have everything in place and everything goes bad, it's your fault. It's like no one else's fault too. So don't get mad at like the VA because you didn't do your part correct.
100%. Yeah, if something goes wrong in your business, that's your fault. Always. It doesn't matter. Like if your VA made a bad decision, that's your fault. Like you didn't have the system in place that allowed them to make the correct decision.
No. And yeah, I think a lot of people get confused on that. Like you hired them. That's you know what I mean? You took that chance. And then if you mess up, like if it messes up, that's your fault. Like you got to understand that. You got to own it and own it. Once you start owning it more, you will understand. And like, honestly, I think once you start owning it more, your business will start growing too, as you actually understand what you're doing long term. So.
Correct. Yeah. So, all right.
But they can piss you off though.
Let's start going through some Q&A stuff.
There's another one also too. Just this communication is a big factor. Me and Matt talk about this all the time. Like showing it's a consistent like thing. Like you got to show your team love. Like you know what I mean. They want to feel appreciated. They don't want to feel like they're working for some asshole. You know what I mean, right? It's I don't know. It's just, that's what I do. The way I talk to people is like the way I talk to you guys. I talk to my team like exactly the same way, and I have a good time and like looking at the creativity that they create with my illustrators and stuff. I get excited. I smile when I see that type of stuff. And I'm just like, hell yeah. Like, so stuff like that, it brings it a long way. Like some of my VAs, they look up to me because of all the content and stuff I put out. They look up to me. They messaged me the other day, like, yeah, I look up to you. And that's a good feeling too, because like in a way you're like the leader, but you're not the leader, because I don't really see it that way, but just showing love, man, showing love. Very important.
Okay. So, you are a designer, what kind of things can you scale out with a VA? Are you asking if you're a designer, what things can you scale out with a VA? Literally it's scale, right? Like you can only design so many things in a day. So the way that we do it, when we have designers working with us is we will give them a list of things that we want them to work on along with examples, and what the title and things are that we need them to do. And then the designers will put that stuff out. My wife, who is a designer, like that is what she does, will look them over, see if there's any edits that need to be done, give them notes, and then send them back to them. What ends up happening over time is your team becomes used to the things you're looking for. They become used to the quality you want to have, the styles you want to have, et cetera. And that doesn't happen nearly as much. But if you are a designer, like just realize there's only so many things you can get done during a day. And I know that like this is actually the hardest thing for a lot of designers to do is let go of the design process, let go of the creative, because you're used to having your own standard of how you want to have things done. And I actually think it sets back a lot of creatives when it comes to the business side of things. Like you have to let go of that stuff and allow other people to do this stuff and realize it may not necessarily be to your standards at the beginning, but if you work with them and help them to prepare for that stuff, it's going to allow your business to grow exponentially.
Mm-hmm. Do your VAs communicate with each other? I started doing this year, and I actually think it's like one of the coolest things. They actually do. So when my designer's actually having an issue of like he needs to take off the sombrero off of the Cinco de Mayo design, right? He needs that illustration, exact like the cactus by itself. He'll actually message my illustrators in a group chat and tell me, hey, I need this off of the cactus. Can you please take it off? And they will.
Yeah, for sure. Keyword research outsourced takes me a lot of time for merch. So here's what I found when we've tried to outsource keyword research, especially to people that are not in the US. They depend solely on the data. And sometimes you have to be able to look at it with your own eye and remove certain things from the data, because certain things are going to rank that you don't necessarily want to have rank for. So this is how you end up with like keywords that have nothing to do with what you're actually trying to sell in your listing, which ends up being really, really bad. Can it be outsourced? Yes. Can it be outsourced well? I would argue probably not, quite frankly. Like this should be a part of your research project at a very granular level. You should be doing this yourself and then passing that data on to your VAs, because it can be part of the original research project. You're going to be using it over and over and over again. Like you don't need to have somebody else do that for you. And the more you do it, the better you become at it.
Mm-hmm. Where'd it go? How do you include your VA in Amazon? I heard there might be a chance of termination. I'm assuming like letting
like
your
them
VA
logging in.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all used VAs with our Merch by Amazon business. I will say that Merch has been very direct about this. They don't want other people signing into your account, but based on some of the actions they've taken over the last 6 months, how they have changed some things, I'm hoping user permissions are coming, but I don't know.
What's the optimal size of the team? How many people do you hire, or how many people to hire at the start? That's going to depend on what you need. It depends on what direction you need to go and kind of where your budget's at as well. I wouldn't want to tell you, start with 6 people. That would be stupid to start with that many. Start with 1. And then once that one's paying for itself, start adding in a second one. and then a third one. And, we have here on our notes for today, this is a rinse and repeat cycle. So you get one, he starts making you or she starts making you more money. And then you can hire another one. And then they start making you more money. Then you get the third one, the fourth one.
Yeah.
And it just starts building on each other.
The most important thing to do too, as you're starting to build out your team, is you're going to be repeating these processes, right? So like you're probably going to have more than one designer as you're scaling these things out. So as you're training that first designer, record all of those sessions, record the processes as you go through it and exactly the way you want them to do those things. So you don't have to take the time out of your day to go back and do that training over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm. or you, like, I've done this too before, because I just, when I put them in the group chat, just have them train each other, and like help them out. Like, you know what I mean? So you can have like the person that you already train, you can have that person train the other person. So yeah.
Videos.
Yeah, videos too.
Just do videos. Like if they take it from me, if they can't follow along with your videos of you showing exactly what you want them to do, that's not an employee that you want to have. And the thing is, when you have like your employees training these people, then it's taking time from their production. It's taking time from their ability to create stuff and make you money. And it's kind of like a game of telephone, right? Like they're going to pass things on, but they may not pass on exactly the way that you want things to be taught. And so slowly over time, as this person is training this person is training this person, stuff starts to degrade. Like, just do videos, the exact process that you want things to have, because then that way there's no question. There's not, well, I think this is what he said.
I see Kimberly ask, how many books do you need to start to use automation? The only time I upload one-offs now is testing interiors. I already put all my keywords and titles and everything into spreadsheets. So there's no point in me, even if I'm just doing 10, I still use the tool because everything's already in a spreadsheet.
Good range.
Any of the automation questions, guys, we're going to cover tomorrow. We're literally going over book bolt and automation tomorrow.
Good range to pay your designer, between 300 to 500.
It depends.
Yeah, that's like depends.
Like I've seen people. Anas is in chat. I've seen him hire designers for $200 a month.
Whereas I was at Disneyland, right, and we got us on a three-way call, me and Matt. I have it. Or did he say it? Or he got me on it because he already gave it. He gave it to Matt. Matt didn't want to use it, and then it's like I have a VA for $200 a month. I was like, what? I'll take it.
Yeah. How do you share designs, graphics, and fonts to your VAs? I have everything in Dropbox. How do you give them access to my files and do you have full access to everything in your Dropbox? So this is why we use Dropbox Pro, because I can share certain files with them. So I can create team member accounts, and then I can share folders with them. So we share our font folder, we share our graphics folder, and then also they have their own design folder. The other thing that's nice about Dropbox Business is it doesn't have the size limitations that a normal Dropbox account has. So a lot of times that if they're using their own personal Dropbox, it's like a 2 GB limit, which they fill up really quickly, especially when you start adding in all these graphics and fonts that have to be shared. That's the biggest reason we moved to it. I've seen a couple people asking, can we share our system? I can probably show our graphic system. I can't show a lot of the other stuff because that's the way that we name all of our stuff. It's all based off designs, and I don't feel like showing everything that I've got. But I can take some screenshots and I'll share kind of what our file system looks like, and give you guys some examples. Have you had team members do translating? Typically, it's never been an issue. I've never had a problem with somebody that doesn't speak good enough English to do any of that stuff.
VA can sign into KDP. Already kind of answered that wrong, kind of, right?
Yeah.
No, they can't. You just got to, it's like to get the terms of services, like you'll get in trouble for sure. It's got to be very careful.
Yeah. Amy's asking, she says doing training videos being pre-recorded for putting up an ad to hire. Yeah, I would at least start on that. Like start documenting your processes, start documenting this because it'll help you when you actually have a document of your processes and you have that built out. It'll help you realize like where you're wasting time or where you're not doing things well. And it'll help you actually, because you have to start thinking about how is this going to make sense for somebody else.
I see Pat with a question down here.
Amos, yeah, that's correct.
Trying to figure what was the question. On it, like, see, some people are asking. I know that's probably like one of the biggest questions, like when to do it. Like, when do you hire somebody? And honestly, like right now, if you can't, like, if your business can't afford it, you better start like getting to work. Like, for real, it's like you need to start getting to work so your business can afford it. And then once your business starts to afford, like can't afford it, you still work. The VA works too. You work side by side with the VA. You know what I mean? So you guys can understand each other, build that relationship together, working together to grow to the next level, and then keep on doing that too as well. You want to build that relationship. Very important. You build that relationship. If you build a good relationship with them, what happens, Matt? They go above and beyond for you. Like, they do so much for you. So understand that.
Pat, that was RJ was talking about merch. It wasn't necessarily KDP. By the time he got to KDP, RJ had a bunch of income coming in from other sources at the same time. Beth, when it comes to taxes and stuff, and like this is just my policy, like I don't comment on it. I refer everybody, like, speak to an accountant. Like, I am not an accountant. I think that it's best for you to speak to an actual tax professional with regards to what you're doing with your business, because every one of you guys, like, this is the honest to God truth, especially if you're just starting out. You should make an appointment with a CPA and talk to them and explain what your business is, what you're doing, and start talking about how you can prevent paying a ton of money next year by taking in some best practices right now. Like, go talk to a CPA, make that appointment. It will make a world of difference in your life. It'll save you a lot of pain.
How do VAs access your account to work on? They don't. They do other tasks other than going into the account, especially with, you can automate uploading now. You can have VAs do pretty much everything, and then you just click start on uploading. So they don't need access to your account.
Yeah. So Drew, I'm going to answer this question, but the reason that we haven't been answering your questions is they're not pertaining to the day that we have here. Like, this is why we have the random Q&A thread in the group. So I still can't wrap my head around doing 50 KDP books using almost all the same interiors, varying the title and cover design. You have these same keywords. Would appreciate several examples of how it's done. Really appreciate all the things you're teaching. My target is October 1st. I have a minimum of 1,000 designs, about 20 designs per day. So the way that I wrap my head around this, because I don't want to do 18 million things within the same niche and just change the cover and the title, is like, I'm changing the title and the cover based on the sub niches within that niche, and doing a lot of different things in different sub niches, not necessarily like just the same thing in the same niche over and over and over again. So the cover is going to depend on whatever the sub niche is that we're going into. So if we're doing like a dog walking journal, right, I may sub niche down to different dog breeds because I want to get closer to whatever the buyer is. So we're going to have a German Shepherd dog walking. We're going to have a miniature Schnauzer. We're going to have a golden retriever, right? And all of those covers are going to apply to that. All of those titles are going to apply to it. The keywords are going to be very similar because dog walking and the keywords for dog walking journal are all going to be very similar. The difference is in the title, we're going to have the dog breed. And then in the back end, we may have something that like nicknames of the dog breed in the gem box. So the box number 7, we'll have like nicknames of the dog breed in there to help people find it in search. But that would be the major difference. Is that a good example? Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, you nailed it.
Is there ever a concern that a designer may steal your idea? As in steal your idea and list a book or shirt on their own? No, not really. That's not their thing. Sending it to other people down the line, I mean, they could do that, but that's why building a good relationship with them is important. And then, like Matt says, he can revoke permission at any time. So then they can't go back in there. If you guys have a falling out, boom, he's out of the account, and you can't go in there and take those designs.
Right. What was I going to say? Is there a tool to automate Etsy? I try to cross post designs that make sense there, but I find Etsy takes the longest of the 3. There is not a tool. That is one of the main things that my VA does for us. She does all of our Etsy listings for us. So that definitely makes a big difference. Anything else in here that we have to?
No.
Key tools. This is a good one. I think that we should probably include this in the daily post. What do you think? Key tools for setting up a virtual workplace. So you need a tool for communication. You need a tool to be able to communicate with your VAs, whether that's Skype, whether that's Slack, whether it's Facebook Messenger, if you want to use Facebook Messenger, or WhatsApp or whatever, right?
Mhm.
You need a tool to be able to share your assets, so they can share their designs with you. You can share whatever graphics or whatever you want to have. So whether that's Dropbox or Google Drive, you need a system of organizing. So whether that is Google Sheets or Airtable, you need a system that you can have that's a live document that everybody can see at the same time. So whenever it gets updated, everybody gets updated on it. And you need to have a naming convention. So you need to have a convention for how you're naming your files and how you have your folders stored, so you know where to find the stuff once it's actually done.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a pretty solid rundown of it.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty much everything right there. And also too, like when you come into this like situation, when you start doing everything, you want to figure out yourself, like what's the best way to speed up the workflow. Okay. So like we pretty much didn't figure all this out until we started doing it, like doing the work. And then we're like, you know what? We can just do this and do this and work in a folder, work in Google Drive, work in Dropbox or whatever to speed up the process. Like we literally started working to understand what we're doing and took a step back. Okay, this would be better if I did it this way.
It's
Yeah.
like, embrace that testing mindset. Like, it just, some things aren't going to work. We're going to test it. And if it doesn't work, we're going to find a better solution. Victoria hardware. So like in terms of hardware, like you really don't need a whole lot. If you have a desktop computer, you are going to have to get probably just a basic mic and a what's it called? A camera. But if you have a laptop, generally it comes installed with it already. And that for all of us, I think that's what we started with. We just all had laptops and we just used the equipment that we had there. I saw somebody mentioned there's some software called Loom, Loom, that makes it really easy to record videos too, for like training and stuff too. Just the only thing that I found with Loom is it would only record in 720 DPI. That when you look on it on a full screen, you lose some of the quality. So that's why I preferred Zoom or some of the other stuff.
Also,
I
too,
remember.
go ahead.
I remember how long Photoshop used to take to render things when I first started. It was so painful. The first thing I ever bought was my good PC. That was the first thing I had to buy when I got a check.
Nice. So also too, there's Jing by TechSmith. It's probably like with screenshotting and stuff like that. It's actually really good, and then it actually records really like it records too as well. But then you can screenshot it, and then it'll take you to like a link, and you can just share it instead of saving it on your computer. You can share it with your VA, and then they can see the actual screenshot too as well. So that's pretty good.
There are a million different tools. I happen to like the ones that I use. I use Screencast-O-Matic for a lot of my stuff. And it's $18 for like 3 years. And it works really, really well. But the tools are like, again, it's just a way of getting things done. You need something to communicate this stuff. So
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much everything, guys. I have to get out the door. I have a busy day today. Thank you for joining us again today.
Action items.
Oh yeah, thank you. Do you have it open? I don't have it open here.
Beginners, set a real budget for yourself within your business. When you are going to actually take money, when are you actually going to take money out of your business, and when and what are you going to be reinvesting in? And then advanced, begin putting together your systems for how you are going to scale your business to the next level. Processes, documenting how you want your VAs to do things to help your business grow. Start removing yourself as the roadblock in your business.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is one of the things that like, it sounds very like not serious, I guess, kind of is the way that I look at it, right? Like you look at that action item, you're like, oh, well, I'll just kind of think about it. Like take the time and set aside 45 minutes today. If you are like a solopreneur, if you are the person that is doing everything in your business right now, take 45 minutes today and design what your perfect world looks like. Design like, this is what, if it was easy, what would it look like? Because it'll really open up your eyes to how some things can change around for you. Embracing that outsourcing mentality, embracing the idea that you don't have to do everything within your business, it's going to lead to a lot more money for you.
Nope.
Cool. All right. Thank you guys. Appreciate you all.
Okay.
We will all see you guys back here tomorrow. We will be talking automation.
8:30 a.m.
Yes. Later.